So now let's go ahead and take a sit so that we can talk about the Millionaire's wealth building principle, okay? So that I can share these things with you and how you can take your life to the next level, okay? As I said earlier, number one, you gotta live below your means. All right, now it's gonna be very tempting with there's so much that's going on with a lot of people. Sometimes they want to share that how life is amazing and you want to rock out, you want to look good, but when you don't live below your means, you're gonna end up having to spend more than you make, and this is a recipe for disaster. It's like, filling up a bucket that has holes inside of it. Trying to fill it up with water, it will always come out. So meaning, no matter how much that you make, if you living above your mean, for example, it's totally boggles me sometimes when I see people, that makes $40,000 a year, they driving $80,000 cars. Like, this is really not living below your means, like totally crazy. You want to live below your means, meaning that you always want to have more cash flow than you spending at the end of the month, than you spending yourself. If at the end of the month you always have more bills than you have cash, well, guess what? You're living above your mean, or you're not creating enough cash. So if you are where you are right now, you're at the point, it's not because you're living above your mean, it's because you're not creating enough cash. You need to focus on accumulating cash. What can you have? What can you build? Which is building a business that's gonna allow you to accumulate more cash, okay? Next thing I talk about is to acquire assets, not liability. If you have a car, it's a liability. You have to take it to the shop. Like earlier, I had to take my car to the shop, and the crazy thing, when you go to the shop, you take your car in there, they always find more problems to make you spend more money. I mean, you go for oil change. I don't know if that happens to you. Like, you're driving this brand name car and you go to the BMW dealership and you trying to get an oil change. When you get in there, they tell you, oh, you know what? Your AC valve is not working. You need to replace it, and that's another $200. And then they tell you, hey, you know what? Your brakes, you're about to die, my man. You're about to die, lady. You're about to die. You probably about to just press on your brake, and your brake been working just fine. But that scare in there, and they tell you, hey, you got to spend another $800 to get that fixed. Guess what? You're gonna spend it because you know nothing about cars. So now the car totally become a liability, because all it's doing right now is taking money out of your pocket. So you want to focus on acquire assets. What are assets? Things that's bringing money inside of your pocket. Like my online business is an asset to me because it brings me money every single day. So I make it clear in my household, any money that I have to spend on my business is priority to any other money that I have to spend, unless it's a life crisis or my kids, or something that is so important, it's life or death. The money that I have to spend on my business, on acquiring assets, is more important than the money that I have to spend for the light, for any other bills that I have, because those money, I don't have the hope of ever seeing them back. See, people that are millionaire, they understand that the only money you have the hope of ever seeing back is money that is invested. Any other than that, any money that you spend, you go on dinner, you buy a new pair of Jordans, or you buy a new car, this is not money invested. It cannot bring you more money. So you want to focus on acquiring assets, okay? Another thing, for millionaire next door, freedom is more important to them than looking rich. Okay, some people, they focus on social status. Like, they want to look rich, they want to rock the Gucci, they want to have they want to have the latest and the greatest stuff, and looking cool to their friends, but not realizing there's a price to be paid, right? You might be looking great, but you broke. I know people that rock some of the nicest looking stuff. They have the most expensive car. Before the new car comes out, guess what they do? They go exchange it for the new model of the next year. That's not even out yet. You want to focus on your freedom, because freedom is more important. Like, sometimes people who's working a $40,000 a year job, they driving a $60,000, $80,000 car. That makes no sense. One of my mentors, I've learned that, you want to drive a car that's about 5 to 10% of your income, worth 5 to 10% of your income. If your car is worth way more than that, you're in trouble. Like 5 to 10% of your income. Meaning that if you making $40,000 a year, you should be looking into driving. I'm not saying, hey, you know, there's people's gonna have their own preference, but those are the rules that I'm sharing with you. You know what I've learned. So if you want to drive $100,000 car, you should be making 7 figures. You should be making at least $1 million to start thinking about getting a car that's in the 100K. It shouldn't be where you driving a car that is 6 figures or that is $80,000 and you're making $40,000 a year at your job. And it happens all the time. I have a good friend of mine. The guy is a billionaire. He owns some of the most prestigious hotels in Orlando. Matter of fact, I'm having my event at one of his hotels. His name is Mr. Rosen. Funny, my father-in-law worked for this guy, and my father-in-law, he's driving this nice $40,000 Infiniti. And one day he went to the parking lot. He was giving me the story, right? He went to the parking lot about to go park his car, and then who he saw walking up to was my friend, Mr. Rosen, right? And he walked up. He had a 1988 Toyota Corolla. 1988. This car was done 2 years after I was born. I was born in 1986. 1988, guys. And I'm talking about the guy he's a billionaire with a B, not an M, a billionaire. And the people who's actually working for him, who's making way less than him, they driving way much more expensive car than him. What do you think about that? What's your thought on that? You know, what's your thought on that? You know, it's like sometimes people, they want to look rich but not actually be rich, and you want it to be the other way around for you. You want to be rich, not actually look rich. Okay, Millionaire Next Door, they take chances on opportunity. Okay, opportunity, you always want to be open to take chances for opportunity. You must know the difference between wealth and income. Okay, millionaires, they know that the difference between wealth and income. Okay, you might have a high income job, but a wealth, it is something that can produce income for you. When you have a high income job, you have to trade your time for money, which still time is limited. So that means even though you might have a high income, which is produced through time, you only have 24 hours in a day. And if as a human being, you're more likely gonna be working 8 to 10 hours. And if you want to push it, you might work, you know, 12 or 18 hours. But how many days can you work 18 hours without taking a break? You know, because you're a human being, you gotta go to sleep, right? You gotta go to sleep. So the thing is, wealth is when you have something that's creating, okay, that's creating income for you without having to be there. See, those are wealth generating. And that's why in order for you to create wealth, you need to take advantage of opportunity and start investing. Start having investment, investing into things that can create you money without you having to go work for the money. Okay, if you're having to work for the money, no matter how high your income is, you're not wealthy. Because wealthy people, they don't have to work to create income. I'm giving you the game, guys. If you have to always work in order for you to create income, it is not wealth. So you know the difference between the two of them, okay? And next step is you must create a budget for yourself, okay? Don't go into this whole fantasy of, oh man, it's gonna keep coming. Or even if you start building wealth. I remember when I first started my journey and I started making money, I just started going out there and start spending. Like everything I made, I spent it. And I was choking my business. I could never grow. Although I was making 6 figures, but my business couldn't grow because everything I make, I was spending it. And I did not understand the difference, you know, between creating a budget for myself, between investing into my business. I was thinking everything I make was for me to spend. And that's the mentality that you're gonna have coming from a broke, you know, background. You know, I was broke, and in my household, all that I saw that was being done with money is to go make it, spend your time to make it, give your hours to make it, and then at the end of the month, guess what happened? Once you get the paycheck or at the end of the week, all I saw that was done with it, it was spent. There was nothing left. It was no more left. So it was always being spent. So understanding that you need to create a budget for yourself, not to spend everything that you make. Okay, when it comes in your hands, you know, okay, this is how much I'm gonna spend and this is how much I'm gonna invest. Okay, which gets me into the next step. Invest part of your money. You don't want to be spending everything that you make. If you're not investing, you cannot create wealth. Okay, you need to be able to make money work for you versus you having to work for money. If you have to work every single day in order for you to create an income, guess what? When you can't work anymore, you're done. You need to be able to invest your money into things that's gonna create you income. Okay? It's a business, whether it's gonna be a service, whether it's gonna be a product, things that people can utilize that's gonna create you an income. Cannot take your money and just spend it on things that's not going to create you income. The next step is to know where your money goes. Know where your money goes. If you make a bunch of money and you don't know where it goes because you just out there, you're traveling to Vegas, you're traveling to you're traveling everywhere, you know, you're traveling to go anywhere that you want, guess what's going to happen? Well, before you look, you're not even gonna know what the hell happened to your money. Don't that ever happens to you? Like sometimes I remember when we used to get income taxes, and you get so excited at the end of the year, you fill out your tax in the beginning of the year, right? And you know you're gonna get this income tax check, right? That's gonna come in, and it's gonna be like $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, and you know it's crazy, right? People spend about a month to make $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, but when that money comes, most people ended up already having plans for it. Maybe they get a brand new TV, right? The money is gone before it actually reaches their hands. You know, that was me, guys. I'm sharing my story with you, and at the same time, trying to give you some lesson and teach you some lesson that's gonna enable you to take yourself to the next level. You know, I remember getting my first $2,000 checks, my tax from my income tax, and then when that money came to me, the first thing that I did was buy a 65-inch screen TV, right? And then, you know, a couple of years later, the TV broke, and then when he broke, I didn't even buy insurance for that TV, and it was like, oh man, there goes my $2,000. It was gone. You know, crazy. But in the meanwhile, I could have started a business. I could have invested into myself. I could have invested that money and turn it into 4,000, and turn it into 8, then flip it into 16, then flip it into, you know, 32, then keep flipping it. And from that $2,000 that I would have been rich on my way to become a millionaire. See, a lot of the time people think that it's money that they don't have, but it's really what they do with what they have. Most of the people that I know that create wealth for themselves, it's not because they started out with $100,000. They started out with $20,000. Matter of fact, goes back to my friend who's a billionaire now. In 1960s. In the 1960s, his father died and left him an insurance. You know, the insurance when they fill out the claim, and I think he got $20,000, right? So Mr. Rosen took his $20,000. He invested into a hotel because he was actually working as a bellman. So he was doing bellman. You know, the people when you go to a hotel, they come and take your bag and take your bag to your room for you. That was him. That was his story. The guy literally from being a bellman, he went from being a bellman to becoming a billionaire. So from being a bellman, he would literally take people's bag and take him to their room for Disney. He was working for Disney in Orlando, and now his hotel is actually in Orlando. He has 4 of them. You know, some of the biggest properties in Orlando now. And he started out with a $20,000 he invested into one hotel, and he was working there. He was the guy who he was the customer service. He was the guy who was actually taking the money in. He was the front desk. He was the guest service. He was everything at that motel. But guess what? You know, the vision that he had for the future was much bigger than just having one. So he started utilizing this principle that I'm sharing with you, not spending the money that he makes into himself, but start growing and acquire another hotel, then start hiring people and start expanding, and then start acquiring more assets. And now the guy is making millions every single day. But, you know, I'm saying this to help you understand that, you know, you don't have to have all the money in the world for you to start. You can start with whatever you have. If you start investing and you start growing that investment, you can start getting there. You know, you can start being and building for yourself and start creating cash for yourself, and you start investing for the long term, okay? So next thing you know, you need to know where your money goes, okay? If you don't know where your money goes, guess what? At the end of the day, you just not gonna know what the heck is going on. You need to track down, sit down at the end of the month or at the end of the week, sit down and track to see, where did I spend my money? Where did it go? once you have all this data now, you know, okay, this is where I can reduce my spending and spend more inside of my business. This is what I can actually pull back on. Maybe I have to buy noodles, you know, this time. Maybe this week we're gonna be drinking, you know, we're not gonna be drinking Coca-Cola. We're gonna be drinking just straight up water. You know, maybe you can get noodle soup this week, so that you can invest a little bit more inside of your business and grow it. So if you apply this principle, guys, I promise you, you will take your life to the next level. Anyway, guys, that was Keder. Appreciate you. If you do find value in this video, like it, share it, leave a comment down below. I'll see you guys on the next video. See you guys later. Pound that for watching this video. So pound that for watching this video. Pow!